Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts graduate Michael Bartmann is back with his first solo show at the Rosenfeld Gallery since 2010, and it's quite possibly the best work he has ever done.
I'm Jennifer Zarrow, and I'm a friend of Mike's and an art historian. My dissertation was on urban imagery from the 18th century. I also think about his paintings in that tradition of Philadelphia imagery that is looking to the places in the city for inspiration. Well, we've watched Mike paint for many years. I thought he couldn't get any better, but he has. His paintings are always a surprise. And as Richard Rosenfeld said, he's gotten more realistic and more abstract at the very same time. My eyes can play around on that abstraction, and yet they also describe things from the real world, things that I know or the city that I know. And I think he's found that incredible balance on the edge of the knife.
My name is Michael Bartmann. The work I've been doing is about place and space. I almost want the viewer to be able to go into the painting and roam around. And I want you to be able to circulate more of a journey. And I do that through partly abstracting what I'm looking at, and a number of dualities between space and surface, paint and mark making versus a deep space. Duality between light and color and space. Sometimes the viewer might see, this seems familiar to me, I recognize this, but then the next moment you could tip towards an abstract painting. What I like about that is it allows the viewer to make the space their own.
I'm Leah Stein. I'm a dancer and choreographer, and I'm the artistic director of Leah Stein Dance Company. And I have the great privilege to live with Michael Bartmann and be his partner and friend and watch his work evolve and live with it in the house. I love the way each painting creates a particular place that you can enter, you can walk around in it, you can have an experience, and that experience might change depending on the time of day and the way the light is in the room, or even your own vantage point. Also, it's very exciting to watch his sense of color emerge and evolve. I get surprised by the choices he makes and then the way that it works in one painting.
Jeremy Frank, and I'm a collector of Mike's work and friend. The color just draws people in. I happen to be a psychotherapist and have one of his paintings. People always ask about it. The painting is called Beckon, and it literally draws people into it. A lot of people don't know that he has a background from Temple in landscape architecture, and so you can see a lot of that in his work. He's a painter's painter, so artists like his work, but these are so available and open to any consumer.
Also in the show, there's 3 or 4 window paintings. The grid of the window overlaid the grid of a city. My interest in it wasn't specifically the window or the scene. It was really that quarter-inch world that exists in between where you can go back and forth, which can be evocative of many things, emotions or the human condition, but it's also a great way to work with abstraction. I was inspired by a window that had a lot of grit and dirt and stains that you couldn't see through necessarily. That makes a great way to paint. It's almost like a battle between, do I want the distant view? Do I like the surface scraping and marks? Some of the pieces you'll see where it's very thinly painted, I've left it alone, and then in other areas, it's really, the battle is right there on the surface, but you can still see some distance, but it usually works together to make some sort of cohesive image that is evocative. I don't know, sometimes it's like maybe how you remember things. Memories come and go, and sometimes strong memories from the past come forward. So I always think that you can use architecture and space to talk about things like that, like someone might use the human figure to talk about those things. I'm really trying to make an emotional connection.
Michael, are these all derived from real places, and do you paint on the spot?
I do different things at different times. So some of these paintings are completely made up, and they start with 2 vanishing points, but usually they're inspired by maybe something I saw, so I paint it from memory. I might be somewhere and I take a photograph of it. With these window paintings, I was inspired by a performance space that I'd been in. I saw a dance performance.
He loves that interaction of time and place, and I do too as a site-specific choreographer, and I make dances outside the theater and on location. And I'm attracted to the same kinds of settings, buildings, warehouses, an alleyway, and the I-beam that was high, and a corner lot. And I did create a piece called Corner Lot that was right in this same area that he created the painting. And I think he captures all of the aspects of that particular place in this mysterious and powerful, compelling, evocative way of time. Passage of time, it could be generations, people who've been here and movement that was there, and yet it's also very present and right in the moment, and you feel like I am right here, right now. I love that interplay.
We're almost in this time period. We have the old industrial past, and there's areas that are still stuck there, and then there's areas that are transitioning. It's the transition where there's imagination, even in reality, is which way is it going to go? How is this going to evolve? Just like when you go and you see an ancient ruin or a civilization, you're seeing the present time and the past all at once, or somewhere in between. The vagueness of the in-between.
I asked Michael how his paintings can seem so animated, even though there are no people or even trees in them.
The way I paint and layer paint, I want it to feel like the paint's alive, like an old building where it has years of wear and growth. That's the nature part of it, the aliveness of the painting that's counter to the hard-edged geometry.
Space, time, texture, color, and life. These paintings have it all. And it's not just me and psychotherapists, art historians, and choreographers who are saying this. One of the visitors at the opening is the legendary artist Elizabeth Osborne, who is one of Michael's favorite teachers from the Pennsylvania Academy. So Liz, is this a good show of your ex-student?
Yes, beautiful. It always just gets better and better. I'm going to give him a little critique in a minute.
I welcome all, the good, the bad, the ugly.
It's a terrific show, and he's always moving a couple steps forward, which is what you want.
What would Vladimir Putin think of this show?
He would love it.
Would he want to annex the show?
Putin annexing a few paintings would be a great idea.